What's up guys, my name is Natalie and welcome to my Nook of Novels. Today I'm going to be telling you guys about some books that give me similar vibes. So this is sort of like a recommendations video because if you like some of these books then you will probably like the ones that they are similar to. So not all of these are similar for the exact same reasons, but they just reminded me of other books when I was reading them, if that makes sense. So let's just get into the first one. So the first books that gave me similar vibes were The Enemy by Charlie Higson and Pitch Dark by Courtney Alameda. So the concept of the enemy is just there are a bunch of children and in this world the adults become diseased and they either die or they try to eat the children basically, and the kids just have to survive. And then in Pitch Dark, I don't remember exactly what the concept is, but I know that there's this spaceship that has been lost for a really long time and the passengers aboard the spaceship were put into stasis. Some of them just woke up and were alive and vibing, and others of them had turned into these zombie-like creatures and were attacking and eating the survivors. So you can see how these two are pretty similar in concept. They're both really good books that I enjoyed quite a bit. So just if you like reading sort of zombie-ish books about survival, then I definitely think that you would enjoy both of these. Or if you liked one, then I think that you would enjoy the other. Next up is sort of a three-way recommendation, and those three are The Fault in Our Stars by John Green, Everything by Nicola Yoon, and 5 Feet Apart by Rachel Lippincott, Mickey Daughtry, and Tobias Iaconis. I don't know how I remembered all three of those, but I did. All three of these are YA romances, and the main character is struggling with some sort of illness. So in this one, she has thyroid cancer that spread to her lungs. This one, she has, I forget what it's called, but she basically is allergic to almost everything and has to stay in her room at all times. And then in 5 Feet Apart, she has cystic fibrosis, and so does the love interest. You can kind of also see with these why they're sort of similar because they all deal with illnesses and they are quite sad at times, but also they are very cute, and just the characters in all of these are so fun and so fun to read about. They're so distinct and they interact together so well, and you can just see why they click together, and they're just a really fun time and also really sad, but I really enjoy sad books, so I like them a lot. And if you do as well, then I definitely think that you will really enjoy all three of these. But yeah, if you like any of them, then I definitely think that you should check the other ones out as well. I feel like I was holding this book really awkwardly the whole time, and I'm trying to leave space for 5 Feet Apart right there, so I was like, I don't know where to put it. Next up is The Crown's Game by Evelyn Skye and The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. So the reason that these two are very similar is, again, they have similar concepts. So in this book, there are two people in Russia who have magical powers, and they essentially have to fight against each other to be, I forgot what like the Russian king thing is called. The Tsar? I don't know how to say it, but the big powerful dude, he will have a wizard person helping him. I cannot words, but it's fine. You get what I'm saying. The magical person of Russia will help the Tsar, and they have to compete to see who that will be. And they don't know though at the beginning, because usually there's only one at a time that exists, but there's two of them, so they have to compete. And there's also a romance involved, and it's a fun time. And then The Night Circus, there are also two magical people who are having a magical tournament battle thing. I forget why in this one, but I'm sure it has something to do with the circus. It's been a really long time since I read it, but I definitely really loved The Night Circus, and I really liked The Crown's Game, and they are similar, so I definitely think that you will like one of them if you like the other. The thing with The Night Circus though is one of the main reasons that I really loved it is it's just very atmospheric, and it has a really pretty writing style, which is not as prevalent in this one. It's more so the plot and stuff in this that I really enjoyed, but yeah, they still are both very good reads. So the next similar books are once again The Night Circus and Strange the Dreamer. So the reason that these two are very similar is the atmosphere and writing style, so the reason that it wasn't similar to The Crown's Game basically, but Laini Taylor's writing style is so pretty. I don't know if I said that this is by Laini Taylor or not, but it is. Her writing is just so pretty, and throughout the whole book, you're just so invested and wanting to know what's happening next. The way that it's revealed is very kind of slow paced, I guess, but it's very mysterious and just grabs your attention so much, and it's just really enjoyable. And then in The Night Circus, it's also kind of similar, where you're not exactly sure what's going on the whole time, but you know kind of the general concept, and you're just wanting to know what's happening. And this also has a very good romance in it, and they just give similar vibes to me, especially because like the writing style and the atmosphere of them. The atmosphere, itself isn't the same, but just like how atmospheric they are. I'm not sure if that made sense, but it made sense in my head. I think that if you liked one of these, then you would definitely like the other. So next up, I once again have The Crowns Game, and then this time, I think if you liked this, then you would like House of Dragons by Jessica Cluess. So once again, these sort of have similar topics. This one, you have 5 different people who are all competing for, I forget what it is in this one also. I'm not good at remembering specific details in plots, but it has to do with dragons for sure. I remember enjoying it quite a bit, and all of the characters in this are very interesting, and all the different perspectives are equally enjoyable. And the same with The Crowns Game. It's just very interesting to read from the different sides. And again, the competition sort of element of these give off very similar vibes to me, and I definitely think that you would enjoy both of these if you liked the other. The only thing with House of Dragons though is it's technically a series, but the sequel never got published because Jessica Cluess got canceled. So if you are wanting to pick this up, just know that you will not get answers to the rest of the things that happen, so beware of that, I guess, but I still think that it's worth the read. Next up is The Lady's Guide to Petticoats and Piracy by Mackenzie Lee, which is the second book in the Montague siblings trilogy, but all of the books in the trilogy are kind of companions, so if you don't want to read the first book, which is The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue, you don't have to. You could read the second book, but it would kind of spoil some things that happen in the first book, but again, you could read it. The Stalking Jack the Ripper series by Carrie Maniscalco. I don't have the first book on me because my friend is borrowing it, so that's why I'm holding the second book, Hunting Prince Dracula, but same idea. So basically, the reason that these two were very similar to me is the main character is a very strong, independent woman who just is trying to carve her way in society, basically, because both of these are set, I think this one is the late 1800s. I'm not sure if this one is as well, but it's either that or the early 1900s, and basically society is very sexist, and everyone is like, oh, you're a woman, you can't do anything, and she's like, actually, I can. And so I really love that about both of these characters. They do not let anything get in their way. They're just like, I'm just going to vibe and do what I want, and you cannot tell me that I can't, because I can, and it's great. The main character of both of these are very, very similar, and I really enjoy them. Next up is Pay It Forward by Catherine Ryan Hyde, and Because of Mr. Terept, I'm not sure who this is by, but I remember I read it years and years and years ago, and I'd almost forgotten about it basically, but whenever I picked this book up, I was like, oh my gosh, it reminds me of that one book, and I'm not even 100% sure why, but this is a middle grade about a kid who his teacher gives him an assignment to try and change the world, and so his idea is he is going to do a nice thing for 3 different people. He is going to tell them to pay it forward and to give back, I guess, for the nice thing that he did. They're supposed to do nice things for another person and just basically cause this ripple effect to spread kindness. And then in Because of Mr. Terept, it's basically just following this class of students and their relationship with each other and with their teacher, and it's just a really fun time. I feel like there is a main plot of it, but I honestly don't remember that at all. The thing that stuck out to me was like the relationship between the kids and their teacher. I think that's probably the main reason why these remind me of each other, is because the teacher is definitely very involved in the student's life in this book, and it is in that one as well. They're both very wholesome. It's just these kids who are vibing, doing fun stuff, and just enjoying their time at school with their teacher. It's just a fun, wholesome time, and I just really enjoy both of these. Next up is Shiver by Maggie Stiefvater and Twilight by Stephanie Meyer. I definitely like Shiver more than I like Twilight, but I definitely think that if you enjoyed that, then this would be something that you would enjoy as well, because Twilight is obviously the kind of vampire slash werewolf romance thing, and then this is a werewolf romance, and the main character, I think her name is Grace. Yeah, so Grace has seen this wolf for a really long time and just not really known what it was or anything. It's just like always been there, I guess. And then one day it just kind of turns into this boy named Sam. She's like, oh my gosh, you're that wolf. And he's like, yep, I am the wolf. I'm literally doing the worst job of explaining this whatsoever. He also gets shot. That's a thing that happens in like the first chapter. It's not a spoiler, I promise. I definitely think there's more plot that happens in this than there is in Twilight, but just the paranormal kind of romance aspect and also the writing style is similar in both of these. I just think that if you liked one, then you would really like the other. Next up is The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Chbosky and Looking for Alaska by John Green. Once again, the reason I think that both of these are similar is kind of the writing style, and also they just follow these teenagers who are basically just growing up and just discovering things in the the world, and it just follows them and their friends and just them having experiences and living their life and making memories with the people around them. I would highly recommend both of these. So the next one is also The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Chbosky and Crank by Ellen Hopkins. To me, this definitely, when I was reading it, I was like, this is The Perks of Being a Wallflower but told in poetry and more intense, because this gets straight into things. Like, this is a person kind of discovering their place and finding out new stuff in the world because they've been sheltered, I guess, and don't necessarily know about things like drugs and sex and alcohol and just things like that. This one, though, isn't just a person learning about that and being like, oh, that's a thing, and acknowledging it. She's just hardcore, is like, okay, becomes a drug addict immediately and just basically turns her life into a wreck. This one I definitely think was a lot more hard-hitting than this one was, but this one was also kind of hard-hitting too. But I definitely really enjoyed both of these, and they give similar vibes about like a person learning about the world and dipping their toes into more adventurous things, I guess, but like this character. So the next two are not things that I would say that I recommend, but I definitely think that they are similar, and those are The Red Badge of Courage by Stephen Crane and War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy. The main difference in these being the size, obviously, because this one is huge and this one is tiny. I definitely think that I kind of was very meh about these for the same reasons. I just don't like reading about these kind of historical war stories. I just don't care that much, but they did seem very similar to me because there's the soldier people and their thoughts on the war and also their thoughts as a person, I guess. I'm not sure if that makes sense or not, but this had more going on than just the war. There's societal stuff and rich people bickering, I guess is the best way to put it. The war aspect of them, though, was very similar to me, and I disliked them both because of that. But if that's your thing, then I think that you'd like both of these. If you liked one, then you'd definitely like the other, I think. Next up are Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi and Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. So for these, I think it was the concept of them that gave me similar vibes between them. So in this one, we follow Mare, who lives in a world where people either have red blood or they have silver blood. And the people with silver blood have these magical abilities, and Mare has red blood, so she does not think that she has any magical abilities, but she finds out that she is in fact wrong, and she does, and so everyone is kind of scared of her, I guess. I don't want to say any more than that because I'm not really sure where we get into spoilers with that, but that's all I'm going to say about that one. Honestly, it's been so long since I read Children of Blood and Bone that I do not really remember much about it. Again, I do remember reading it and being like, this really reminds me of Red Queen, but I think it has a similar concept. I think this one has to do with the color of their skin, though, because there's like the really dark people and then the not white but like lighter skinned people. I don't remember like which one is considered inferior, but one of them definitely is. And then I think it also has to do with them having magical abilities and her not being supposed to because of the color of her skin, but I don't 100% remember. Yeah, there's also a very good romance in both of these that I really enjoyed. That's all I can really say because I don't remember much about this one, like I said, but I do know that I really enjoyed this one, and it definitely surprised me. The magic in both of these worlds are really cool and definitely super fun to read about, so I would recommend both of these highly. And definitely, if you liked one, then I think that the other one you should also go and check out. So the next thing on this list is Forgotten by Kat Patrick and The Adoration of Jenna Fox by Mary E. Pearson. The concepts, again, are very similar, and so that is the reason that I think that you would like both of these. So in Forgotten, this follows a girl who cannot remember anything that happened in the past, but she remembers the future instead. That's really all I remember about that, but I know that there's also a romance involved, and that was really enjoyable to read about. And then in The Adoration of Jenna Fox, I think it's also like that, where she can't remember anything. I think she wakes up from, I don't want to say a coma. It has something to do with her memory. I'm 99% sure. The only thing that I can think of in my head is the ending, but obviously I can't tell you that because then it would spoil it for you. This one has a super pretty writing style, and I don't remember if this one does or not, but I remember that my best friend, I was like, oh, you should read this book, and she was like, this reminds me of my favorite book, and I was like, what book is that? And it was this one. Right now I cannot think of the plot of this one, so sorry, I can't really give you a good synopsis of it. I definitely think that they give off similar vibes, so if you like stories about people people who have no memory or minimal memory, then I definitely think that you would like both of these. The final two books on this list are These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong and Scavenge the Stars by Tara Sim. So the reason that both of these reminded me of each other are A, they're both historical fictions, and I think they're set in the same time period, the early 1900s. They both have to do with gangs. This one, though, is a Romeo and Juliet retelling, and this one is a Count of Monte Cristo retelling. And there's also a plague in both of them, and these characters having to come together to try to stop the plague, and basically rival gangs fighting, and them having to worry about that, and the plague, and just everything in general, and also surviving, basically, in the city that's kind of almost falling apart. So they're super similar in concept. Again, I really enjoyed both of these. This one I probably would have liked more if I read physically because, again, I said this a million times, I feel like, but I'm just really bad with audiobooks, but that's how I read this one. They both have sequels as well. So that is all for this video. I hope that you guys enjoyed. If you did, then please hit the like button and subscribe if you would like to, and hit the notification bell if you'd like to see the other videos that I post on Mondays, soon to be Tuesdays. Comment down below if you have read any of these books, or if there are any books that you have read that gave you similar vibes to another book. My Bookstagram and Goodreads will be linked in the description if you would like to check out either of those, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!